Live. Hey folks, Jason Wilmot here. It is good to be back. Today is Mastering Funnels podcast number 14. It is October 11th, 2022, and I'm glad to be doing this again. So, took the past few weeks off for two main reasons. One, my family and I moved. We moved to a new house. Absolutely love it. And then, obviously to complicate things, why you move, we all got sick. I got really sick. And so I have been quiet for the last 2 weeks, mostly because one, plus we moved. The other negative being we got sick. Hey to those folks who are joining us today. So, all right. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. So today, what we're going to be diving into is Funnelytics. I want to show, I think what I've realized is, I have, when I'm talking to a client or I'm talking with a partner, just something we're talking about funnels, right? I can pretty easily map this thing out in my head before we get rolling. So if I'm on a phone call with somebody, I have the idea of what a funnel would look like in my head, but I realize not everybody has that, right? And so what I want to do today is spend a little bit of time showing you how to think about a funnel. And I'm going to use a program called Funnelytics to do this. So at the moment of this recording, I believe Funnelytics is absolutely free. There is no affiliate link. So what I'll do is I will throw the Funnelytics link to it. I'll just spell it out for you. Funnelytics. But what you can do on Funnelytics is just go in and map out a funnel. Now there's other pieces to that. There's a lot more other features, but I'm going to just probably steer clear of all the features today and just show you on my screen how I'm going and mapping out. So you may recognize or see that there's a new background. No, I don't have a studio yet. So what I'm doing is I just piecemealed this together. So I know it is not exactly what I want it to be. I think there's a lot of work to go in the new office, but I didn't want to hold that back. And frankly, I don't really care. My ego is not that big where I have to have this perfect studio to go live because I like doing this. And I know the majority of folks, they see this little piece cut up and they see, we put this content everywhere. And so it really doesn't matter. Like I said, I'm not too concerned with what people think about this. So, but all that being said, would love your feedback. So before we dive in today, what I would like to do is this. I would invite you to ask questions. If you have any questions on funnels, we're going to be talking about two main funnels today. The first is a call-based funnel or a VSL. A VSL is short for video sales letter. I don't know why we still use that term, but we do. So if you have an opt-in to a webinar, this would be a really good podcast or live stream to tune into. And then if we have enough time, I'll get into ecom. If we have to push ecom till next week, we might have to do that, just depending on how long and detailed we get into this call-based funnel. So I shouldn't say call-based funnel, but that's really what these webinars are for. So actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to build out two possibilities. So if you have a webinar and you're selling an offer after that webinar, maybe it's a course, maybe it's coaching or something like that. Well, the course would be a buy now button. If you're selling in a high ticket offer, then most likely you would need somebody to hop on a phone call with you. And so what I want to do is I want to map this out for you. So if you have any questions about a webinar funnel, or if you have questions about a webinar to sale or webinar to course sale or something else, this could be SaaS as well. It doesn't have to be a webinar. But if this is ultimately leading to a phone call, then this podcast is for you. So also, big shout out to everybody who's just been commenting. I know that we are, our content is showing up in a lot of places, and it's really fun to start doing. I love doing this weekly podcast because we're just able to cut up this content and put it absolutely everywhere. And we're doing that for clients now as well. So it was fun. It was just been fun on this journey. And again, obviously you put yourself out there. You're a little vulnerable when you're doing this. People might make fun of our background. But there it is. That is it. So, all right, shall we dive into this? Okay, so here's the deal. If you are an agency owner, if you are a course creator, if you have a SaaS product, if your website or your offer runs on phone calls or the buy now button, this is going to be a podcast for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. We're going to walk through this VSL or webinar funnel first. And then if we have time, we will get to the ecom funnel. Like I said, if we run out of time, then we can always do that next week. So your comments and your questions are always welcome. And if you have anything, if you have any questions along the way, just go ahead and throw them in the comments, and then I will address those here in a few minutes. So let me share my screen, and we are going to get started on this VSL funnel. So again, I'm using this software called Funnelytics, and what I want to do is just scratch the surface of this, but kind of walk you through what I'm thinking. I had a good call with a friend this week, and he was kind of walking me through what they were trying to accomplish on their end. And what they are I'm not going to give away too much, but the offer is either coaching or a course. So what the funnel typically looks like is people come to the website, they opt in for a webinar, and from that webinar, they can kind of, pick their own path. Do they want to buy the course? Do they want to have a phone call with somebody to, discuss coaching? And so what I want to do is I want to kind of draw that out. He said, Jason, how does that look like when we're mapping this out? And so what I want to do is just give you my take on this. This isn't, there's tons of iterations that could occur based upon this. I think what I'm going to put together today is just going to be sort of a rough draft of this. And then as any, growth marketing pro would say, like, you have to iterate. We have to continue to build onto this. But a good friend of mine, Luke Hansen, has this phrase. It's not his phrase, but he uses a lot. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And so what I want to show you is a good outline of what this looks like. And then you can perfect it as we will. So let's get started. So I'm going to go up to these icons, and what we're going to do is we're just going to have an opt-in page. So this opt-in page is where you would drive traffic to this website or this landing page. This could be on a website. This could be on a website like ClickFunnels or just any landing page software. But this is ultimately where somebody decides to opt in. And then from that, what we're going to do is we are going to, let's just say we're going to push them to a webinar. So that is sort of the first piece of this puzzle. Now, what I like to do is I will also add in our traffic. So let's just say that we are running TikTok ads. Let's put let's do Facebook ads as well as Instagram ads. So the rule of these ads is to direct people to the opt-in page, and I think that's pretty explanatory. Now, one thing though that I should say is when we're running Facebook ads, when we're running Instagram ads or TikTok ads, we're not just pointing the ads to the opt-in page. That is not necessarily the end all be all. What we want to do is we want to connect tracking. So we need to have tracking on this opt-in page. And so I don't know if there is I don't think there's a Google Analytics icon in here. Unfortunately, don't understand why. But what I think it's important to, let's see if they've got conversions. I don't think they have a conversion. So what I want to show here though, let's just put the lead right here. So this is the main piece that we're actually trying to optimize around. So these Facebook ads or Instagram ads or TikTok ads, we're trying to push them all the way to this opt-in page. And if they opt in, then they become a lead at that point. Can't say they're qualified or anything like that, but they do become a lead. So when we're in our analytics, what we're trying to do is we're trying to set our first KPI is all around the opt-in. So is somebody coming from the ads and are they opting in? Now, obviously, this can be organic content. This could be email content. This could be whatever you want. But I'm just going to use these paid ads for now, mostly because paid ads, big fan of them, trackable, they are predictable, and they're scalable. So if you're finding success on one of these platforms, then just spend more money. It's as easy as that. So inside of our campaign, though, we're going to set up conversion campaigns. And the main objective of this conversion campaign is to opt in right here. Now, eventually, we will want to retrain the pixel or retrain the conversion or retrain the conversion event to be around really the thing that we want most, and that is a phone call. So we'll keep on walking through this, but if you have any questions or anything on this, throw it in, and I can happily slow down. So here they are. They are welcomed to this opt-in. They opt in and they go to the webinar, and from the webinar, we really have two choices from there. And so the first is a sales page or an order page, right? Um, let's just say an order page because these people are ready to buy now. So we will delete this somehow. There we go. So choice number one from the webinar is to go to the order page. Maybe you have a product for sale that somebody can just buy then and right now. And then possibly there could be an upsell after that if there is an extension of your offer. And then ultimately what we're trying to do is get to a thank you page. And if there is a thank you page, then that means that there has been a successful purchase. So I'm going to go over to actions here and I'm just going to write purchase right here. I'm going to grab that icon and we'll drop that right there. So once we kind of get past this lead, we do want to start optimizing our pixel for this purchase event, which would be way better than leads, right? If you're going after leads, that's great, but leads aren't paying you money until they actually purchase from you. So ideally, we're going to have three main KPIs here, or three main conversion events that we're really trying to optimize towards. Purchase is definitely one with this thank you event. The lead is the other, and then this phone call is another. But before I get into this phone call, what I think there's a few people, or there's a few people that miss out an opportunity right here on this opt-in page. So if people opt in, I think one of the things that we can do is that we can start dropping them emails. So let me find the email in here. Let's just say email. Here we go. So once people opt in, you have their email. And I think it's very important that we don't always have to be using paid ads in order to continue to warm people up. I mean, I think there's this email, there's could be an email series here that continues to just push people to this webinar, or could just push them to YouTube to give them more content. So I'm going to throw that in here. Let's go to miscellaneous. Let's go down to YouTube. Because everybody is not ready to buy traffic. There we go. So I'm just going to put this organic. So perhaps we want to send people to organic content, or this could be embedded on a sales page, or this could be a video page where we could do sales video, right? So I want you to understand that there is no perfect here, right? This is iterating and learning off of what is going to work best. And really the only way that you're going to be able to tell what is working best is if you're really good, not really good, but just if you implement tracking with UTMs. So if you're sending people to a sales video, and this is, like something to warm them up to buy, right? Maybe they've already seen the webinar. Maybe they haven't seen the webinar. You're going to put them to a sales video. There could be a webinar replay. So I'll put that in here. But I think the thing is, like, let's not complicate this too much to begin with, right? Let's just give them what they want. So they wanted what you were offering here, but for some reason they just didn't buy. So they opted in. They came to the webinar. Maybe they didn't watch it all the way. So we do want to continue to just give them the ability to watch that webinar again. So a webinar, though, also, I should say, a lot of people refer to this as a VSL, so video sales letter. So the two are interchangeable. So just keep that in mind. So you have this opt-in event. They go to the webinar. Let's say they don't buy. Well, that's where we continue to just email them and continue to put a drip in front of them for as long as you can provide value, I think. And so, I think it's just very easy to understand this idea of there's shoppers and there's buyers. There's your bottom of the funnel and there's a mid funnel. So people aren't necessarily ready to buy. That's fine. Go ahead and warm them up by proving value through your email delivery. This could be SMS. There's a lot of different things that we could do to continue to warm them up. You could push them to your YouTube channel. You could push them to YouTube videos. You could push them to a different sales video. You could push them to a webinar replay. If this is too long and you found that, there's an objection that they have, maybe it's around pricing, maybe it's more philosophical. This is where you can handle some of those objections. So, but ideally, what we're trying to do is we're eventually trying to get them into this thank you page, right? We're trying to get to that purchase event so that we can continue to, make money here and then put that money back into the ads. Ideally, you have done your math because We wouldn't start this without doing our math. We want to make sure that our offer is good, obviously, but we want to make sure that our numbers all work. So before I go too much further, though, one thing that I want to stress here is this idea of retargeting. So retargeting is when we're using paid ads to get back in front of these folks. So we could use different forms of retargeting here. I wouldn't do LinkedIn for retargeting, but we could consider Instagram or Facebook here. So if they become a lead, right, we can mix this. I'm just going to put these up here because everything's getting a little bit crowded. Why I'm doing this is if somebody becomes a lead, maybe they don't need the initial ads right down here. They don't need to be seeing those initial ads in order to opt in. They've opted in, and now maybe they need to see testimonials. Now they need to see more education. So this is where like a second round of or a first round of retargeting is really helpful. You could put retargeting on the folks who click through to the opt-in but don't opt in, right? That's always a good idea. But let's say that they have opted in, and now we want to switch up the messaging a little bit. So this is where we would use these different forms of ads. YouTube actually might be a really awesome spot to retarget people, just because you have the ability to tell a little bit longer of a story. You just have more bandwidth. And when people are on YouTube, they're just in a posture of consumption, right? That is not the case on Facebook or Instagram typically. Maybe on TikTok, but on YouTube, people are ready to watch a video. And if you use a good video or a video ad in front of them, they might just sit there and consume it because they've already opted in. They've already expressed interest in your offer. But ideally, here's one thing to keep in mind. You have already spent money on these people to warm them up to become leads. Do you want to continue to spend money on them with retargeting ads once they've opted into the funnel? I don't know. That is all about the numbers, obviously, and you're going to have to dig into those numbers as you continue to optimize your funnel. Maybe the retargeting is only spent here for the people who visit that page but then leave. So we have a lot of different things at play, but let's not get too complicated here. So again, the opt-in into the webinar. If they don't buy, then you have these other little machines that are coming back, or that are just active in the background in order to continue to give them value. And when I say value, that's just such a word that I think that gets tossed around, but it's real. And I want you to understand what value is. Value is helping that person get from their A to the B, right? The A is where they currently are, and the B is where they want to be. Every single one of us has an A and a B in life, whether it's personal, whether it's work related, whether it's relationship related, family related, time related, I don't know. But we all are in this current state and all have this desired outcome that we want something a little bit better. Maybe it's more time, maybe it's more money, maybe it's more freedom. I don't know what it is, but we all have these desires. The value that you are trying to provide to these folks is helping you become the bridge between where they are and where they want to be. Flat out. So it's not just canned emails. It's not just junk and fluff that you're sending them your way. You have to actually dig into where there is value. Now, in our Mastering Funnels offer, it's really good for agency owners or digital marketing agency owners who have started down this pathway of wanting to bring leads, clients, and customers to their own clients, but maybe they struggle along the way with analytics, or maybe they struggle along the way with machine learning and AI, or maybe they're struggling with scaling up or just getting into paid ads. The emails and the content that I want to put out all are going to be centered around those pieces, because those are the things that are blocking them from getting from where they are to where they want to be. So don't just think, the drip, the email drip, the daily, reminder is enough. It can be enough for some people. Maybe if some people are sitting on the fence, maybe it's just that persistent email drip that gets them off the fence and onto the order page. But I think what we have to do here is people know that there's just so much junk floating around, especially in digital marketing and starting your own business. And there's so much just garbage out there. And so what you have to do is you can't just imitate what other people are doing. You have to really understand your niche and understand the value that they want and that they need in order to help those people. And I think the best value that you can give personally is the struggle that you've gone through yourself, right? I think that's always the best software. The software that seems to be the best is built for this internal need, or built for this frustration in your business, your own block. And then, other people have that as well. So if you don't know what value to provide to people, you need to just start talking to your customers. You need to just start talking to people and ask questions, because their feedback is way more valuable than money at this point. If you're unclear of what your offer is, let me say that again. If you're unclear of what your offer is, more important than money right now is their feedback. Getting feedback is more valuable than money, because what you need to do is make sure that you are on the right path, to make sure that the offer that you're creating for somebody is actually going to be valuable for them. And you have to understand if the market wants it. So yeah, went a little deep there on that, but I think that's just so important. So again, the value that you're going to be providing people has to actually be valuable. And the value, how you give them that value, I'm not sure. Maybe that is a PDF, maybe that's an ebook, maybe that's video, maybe that's content, maybe it's like an SOP that you've developed and that you just want to give away for free. So help yourself by understanding what other people are actually truly after in this drip. Okay. All right. Got a little carried away there, but I think that's fun. So if you recall, what we're talking about is this VSL webinar funnel, where we basically have two options. So there's people who are coming in to opt in to this webinar, this VSL. They're watching the webinar, and then let's just say that this branches two ways. So one, the first option is that somebody can buy a course from you or some digital product, or maybe it's a software that you have. But then what we also want to do is we also want to book phone calls, because if you're going big ticket, you really want to be booking phone calls. So I'm going to drag this calendar event over here. And so this would be kind of option number 2. So if we, but if this is a big ticket, then maybe this is really what you're actually trying to do. And the downsell is to the course. So there's different ways to shake this. There is no right way. I'll say that again. This can be, I think, chopped up and iterated as much as you want based upon what you're trying to do. But if you're really going after revenue, then this is what we want, right? We want this. I'm going to change the name of this to booked phone call. Really what we're trying to do here is optimize around this event. And then if we can't get the phone call, then they buy. That is ultimately what we're trying to do. So maybe this is more of a downsell up here. But if you have that option, then, obviously that's what we want. Now, let's just say that they book a phone call. And then on that phone call, they have you get a credit card, and they decide to buy with you. Now, they might not hit a thank you page. So this is where we're going to spend a minute talking about how to optimize your pixels and your analytics, and then what we can do about this missing thank you page. So I suggest, and this isn't the only option out there, but I suggest if you're running a call booking funnel to use Calendly. And the reason being is because they have a direct integration with the Facebook Pixel as well as Google Analytics. So it will send 3 events to your ad platform or to your analytics. The events are 1, if somebody actually booked a phone call; 2, if somebody was scheduling a time; or 3, if somebody was scheduling a date. I think there's a 4th one of a page view. So did they look at the calendar? Did they pick a day? Did they pick a time? And then did they book? So the booking is really the conversion that we're after. So if you're running ads on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, obviously we might have to optimize for the lead at first. But this is where the money is made on this phone call. So this is actually the tool that we want to or the conversion event that we want to optimize towards. And obviously people need to become leads in order to get to that phone call. So just keep that in mind. This is really what we're trying to do. Then, if, worst case scenario, they don't want to book a phone call and they just want to buy something from you, well, then you have either this downsell or the second option here. Now, if somebody does book a phone call with you, it might be wise to then run retargeting ads at these people who have booked a phone call to warm them up prior to the phone call. Or maybe there's a separate email drip for those who have booked a phone call. So just know that this can get as complex as we want, but we're going to keep this as simple as we can in order to start. Now, so this phone call gets booked. This event will show up in your Google Analytics. And if you are using UTMs on all of these ads, these UTMs will print on to, these UTMs will pass in your Google Analytics so you can see where these phone calls are coming from. Moreover, if you're using something like HubSpot, or if you're using something like Salesforce, what you will find is, if you have leads in the pipeline who are booked calls or people moving into this opportunity stage, you can pass those UTMs on to that lead info so that you have some insight about where this person is coming from on their phone call. Now, what I like to do, and I don't know if there's a button for this, what I like to do once somebody, yeah, there we go, books a phone call, is I do like to pre-qualify folks. So the booking a phone call is great, but we want to then send them a pre-qualifying survey. The reason being is this: if folks don't fill out the survey, then just don't take the call. The last thing that you want to do is, there's obviously like a show up rate when it comes to phone calls. Not everybody shows up to the phone calls. Now that's for, some of the reasons are flaky, like they just, I don't know, got cold feet and didn't want to pursue that. Or, sometimes people have real life events and they can't make the call. That's real. But one way that I think can reduce the show up rate or improve the show up rate is by requesting that people actually fill out a survey prior to the phone call. It doesn't have to be a long survey. It could just be 10 questions, could be, 5 questions, just enough to have them put a little bit of skin in the game in order to book that phone call. So again, the survey comes after the phone call. There are 2 different ways of doing it. You could have them take a survey while booking the phone call. So there's like questions that you could ask them then. I like to use, like Calendly has that option where you can ask questions in addition to booking the phone call. But I like to use a survey that comes after the fact. And one of the reasons why is, if somebody reaches this thank you page, then I know that somebody has booked a phone call. They've hit this survey. If they filled out the survey, then they hit this survey thank you page. And then we're sitting in a really good spot with our analytics, with our KPIs. But what we need, though, is this last thing. So we have to have this phone call. And then what we have to do after that is have this purchase event. And this is where things get a little bit tricky as far as tracking is concerned. Now, if you have a tool like Salesforce or HubSpot or the CRM where we can follow this all the way through, I think that makes, that makes your life a lot easier so that you can look back on finding what are your best clients or where you're, either their students or your customers or your clients or whatever. You can find out where they're coming from. But unfortunately, we don't have this info here doesn't pass back to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. And there's not a lot of tools out there that will actually help you with that. But there is a tool, like there's a couple different tools that I've been talking about the recent weeks. Weberlo is one of those. So ideally what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect this purchase event into something like Stripe. And then what we can do is connect this purchase event back to Facebook. And the 2 tools that I would recommend for this is Weberlo, Weberlo, or something like Hyros, where Hyros is connected to your Facebook pixel, but it's also connected to your Stripe account. So it just has this end-to-end attribution, which is really, really good. So that I'm not even going to include that in this because I don't think that most people will get to that spot right away. I think that comes with time. So I think yeah, obviously attribution is great, but you're going to be paying a lot of money for something like Hyros. Weberlo is much, much cheaper. But again, what that's going to do is in your analytics, you're going to find out what your best campaign is, what your best ads are. You're going to be able to follow everything through sort of all the way. So I think I covered everything on this. So yeah, this is what a call-based funnel looks like. This is what, really what we're trying to optimize for is right here, this booked phone call or the survey thank you. I like to do this booked phone call because it's an event and we can send that information back a little bit easier than a page view. So obviously page views work, but with tracking and pixels and all of that, we might just want to take our events and push those through more so than the survey. So there might be some optimization done around here. So again, the whole funnel is pushing people to this opt-in page. From the opt-in, they either go to, they go to the webinar and then they either are pushed to an order page or they are pushed to a booking a phone call with you. And now remember, if these guys say no, we can drop them down, right? If the phone call is a no, maybe the downsell is down to the order page and then you can walk them through. Perhaps you can upsell them into a lower price point. But again, this is for big ticket. Now, one thing that I would say is, the hardest thing here is just being protective of your time. That's kind of I think that's probably one of the last things that I'll say. Booked phone calls take a lot of time. It's a great way to connect with your audience, connect with the customers, and just hear feedback. And, typically the objections that you hear on a phone call need to be addressed in the ads, need to be addressed in the webinar. Because if you're still hearing objections on a phone call, then what we need to do is take those objections and understand, well, what is the story that I can tell around that objection? What is the success story that I can tell? Or what's some educational bit that I can tell about this objection? And then it might actually be something that comes up so often that we have to go back and look at our Facebook ads or TikTok ads or something like that, and update them so that we handle that objection in the ads, or maybe that we handle that objection in the webinar. So, but I mean, I love getting on phone calls, obviously, because you're talking with a prospect. And two things are going to come out of that. One, you're going to close the deal, and that's good for them and it's good for you. Or the second thing is you're not going to close the deal, but you're going to get awesome feedback. You're going to have a good conversation with this person, and it's going to help you with your next phone call. So really, yeah, call booking funnels, absolutely a great way to grow your business. But I just don't think that everybody knows how to build these, and hopefully this makes it a little bit easier. I say that as there's just arrows pointed all over the page, but hopefully you kind of had a little bit of insight into this. Now, the folks who are just listening to this on the podcast, I have a funnel that's mapped out with arrows kind of pointing to the next segment or to the next piece of the funnel. And so if you're interested in learning more about this podcast, listeners, then I would definitely say check out our YouTube page, because I will have this video on our YouTube page. So that is that's a VSL funnel or a webinar funnel or a call booking funnel. Lots of different ways that we can call this, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get this ad game pointed at this booked phone call. And this is where, if you have a high ticket offer, this is really where you can make a lot of money, because what we'll do is, if your offer is $3,000, I don't know, $2,500, $5,000, I don't know. There's price points all over the place. If you are paying to get so many leads, if you know how much, well, I should say this. Let's just say that your offer is $5,000. We're going to do very easy math. Let's just say that you're willing to spend up to $250 per booked phone call. Well, per booked phone call, right? Let's just say $250 per booked phone call. And let's say that you close, I'm going to do this like easy math. Let's say you close 25% of the time and you've got 100% show up rate. That means that you need to spend $1,000 to make $5,000. And if you can spend $1,000 to make $5,000, we'll just put a zero behind that, because why would you ever want to stop? So this is sort of this idea behind booked phone calls and high ticket offers of why they're just so powerful, is because you can track everything all the way through. If you can track everything all the way through and you have your numbers and you have your math dialed in about what is your show up rate, what is your closing rate on this phone call, and if that ROI is there, you can take that money and you can pour it back onto ads. And why I'm such a big fan of ads is, they're trackable, they're predictable, and they're scalable. So if we're looking at the numbers from TikTok or Facebook, and we see that we're booking phone calls for $200, or if we're booking phone calls for, $150 or $175, you can just start moving budget around. Now, obviously, we want to be sending them to the survey, and that UTM info is on the lead documentation in your CRM, because what you'll find over time is where your best leads are coming from. You might get a ton of leads coming from TikTok for cheap, right? But maybe they don't book phone calls, or maybe the people coming from Facebook who book phone calls never show up. And that's why we just have to always be diligent in adding in our tracking, so that we can go back and make sense of this after the phone call is made or after that purchase is made, just so we have an idea. The last thing that we want to be doing is just really flying blind. Very, very bad idea to be spending money online and just flying blind. It could work, absolutely. I think it does work for a lot of people, but if you're choosy about where to scale and how to scale, then you have to eventually start looking at data. And that's one of the things that I just absolutely love. So I think that will do it for that VSL portion. So I am going to be out of time. I can't do the ecom funnel today, but I would be more than happy to do it next week if that allows, or if we should be doing something else. I'll kind of talk with my team and we'll make a decision based upon that. But it is good to be doing this podcast again. I absolutely love doing this. It's a bit of work kind of setting up and sort of thinking about what things we want to go through or teach. But it's such a joy to be able to do this. So I do thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for the folks who've just watched this whole time. Very grateful for you. Thank you to those who listen listen to the podcast. And then thank you to people who comment on all of the videos and have questions and ask questions. I think that's why we do this. This is just why we do this. So, but just a quick word on our content output, because that's one of the main reasons why we do this. I can go live once a week and we can cut up this content into, several posts that go to several channels. So what we'll do is we'll take this content piece and we will cut this up. We'll just find little micro cuts. Maybe it's 35-second cut. We'll put that on TikTok. We'll put that on YouTube Shorts. We'll put that on Instagram Reels. We'll put that on Facebook. We can put that on LinkedIn. We can put that on Twitter as well as other platforms if we were at it. If you put out 4 of those, right? Let's just say 4 times 6. If you put out 4 posts, 4 of these little micro cuts a day, that's almost 25 posts a day across all of these platforms. This is where this is getting very exciting. And so, what we've done in the past is we've really specialized in 2 main areas, and we've introduced a third for all of our clients. And I'm not saying this to pitch you. I'm just saying this to think through if you're an agency owner or somebody like this, or if you're just interested in, using our services to make content. But really the three legs of the business are this. One, we set up data and tracking and infrastructure, because I think that's the most important part. That's the part where I've cut my teeth, but that's the part where I get to have conversations with clients about the success that we're getting them. We can talk about data. We can talk about tracking. We can talk about their KPIs and understand what is working in order to drive those KPIs in the right direction. Which brings me to leg number 2. Number 2 is paid ads. The reason why I like paid ads is exactly why you just saw. They're trackable, they are predictable, and they are scalable. If we can follow the data all the way through from, click to endpoint, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a purchase, whether it's a demo, whether it's a download, we can understand where those are coming from. We can spend more money on the ads that are most effective. And that is absolutely why I love paid ads. But then we realized, we're really dropping the ball as far as content marketing. And that's where this Mastering Funnels podcast really was born of, hey, we just need to get more content out there. And so what we've done is we've kind of perfected what we're doing. And now we're doing that for clients. Now we're cutting this content up for clients. And one of the reasons why we're doing that is because we're dipping more into the crypto sphere, and we're looking for more crypto clients. But a lot of what we specialize in, especially around ads, there can't be a lot of ads done in the land of crypto, right? So we kind of came up with an alternative of, well, let's just continue doing what we're doing for ourselves, but let's do it for other people, and let's leverage content and content marketing. And now, obviously, that content marketing leads back to the website, and we have this data-rich infrastructure where we can tell what content is actually moving the needle for the KPIs for our crypto partners. And so that's where this third leg has really been fun. And so now I'm just kind of sharing it and talking about it. You can do this for yourself. You can go live. You can cut this up. It's absolutely a really, really good idea. It's not a unique idea to us, but what we are finding is that we are finding way more inbound leads who are just saying, hey, we see you everywhere. Hey, saw a bit of your content, resonated, and wanted to reach out. That's the power of content marketing. I think that is one of the things that we had been missing. I say we as in the team at HACKTICS. We had just been missing for the longest time, primarily because I didn't really want to put myself out there. You can come up with any excuse you want. You could say, hey, I don't have a good background. I've got like a little blue lights flashing everywhere. I don't have, a good microphone. I don't have a good production studio. I don't have something to talk about. I don't have whatever. There's a litany of excuses that you could make. But at the end of the day, really, it comes down to putting yourself out there, and then hopefully the content that you are putting out or I am putting out actually is valuable, right? People need to find that value. It needs to help them get from where they are to where they want to be. And if you can figure out what it is that you can talk about, then that just makes everything all the more powerful. So that's it. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for all the comments that we get on all the posts. Thank you for the kind words that you've said. Thank you for listening to the podcast and tuning into that. It's been a pleasure just producing this week after week, and it's been, I don't know, we definitely see the needle moving in the right direction for us for doing this. So I would want to encourage you to do the same. Step out into the challenge zone where you don't want to be, and do something difficult. And I think you're going to find that you like it. So I think that'll be it. Next week, if you have questions, between now and then, in between episode 14 and 15, go ahead and throw those in the comments, send us an email, shoot us a message, and then we can address those comments on the next live, on the next podcast, and we can do a deep dive into that. Apologies, I want to get into the ecom, but I think that's probably just going to be a better I think that's just going to be a better standalone podcast, because there's different things that we need to get into, like, in-cart events and just different pieces where, you're optimizing for purchase. And that's a good thing about ecom, but there's a lot of little several steps that we can do along the way. And then there's upsells after the purchase. And so I don't want it to be rushed. And I think I want to just give it a little bit of dedicated time. So, all right. So that's it. Thank you to the folks who chimed in today. Thank you for those who leave comments. Thank you for those who are watching this after the fact. If you're watching this after the fact or listening to this after the fact, go ahead and drop a comment. We will address it. This whole Funnelytics piece was a question from one of our students, Chris. Chris, thank you for throwing out the suggestion. It was absolutely awesome, and I think we're going to get 2 really solid podcasts out of this. So yeah, guys, if you have an idea, if you have a comment, if you have a question, throw it. We've done this on G4, we've done this on Weberlo, we've done this on quite a few things. So if you have an idea, throw it out there. It's not like I have an endless amount of things that we can talk about. I want to talk about things that are valuable. So if you have a question or comment, that's probably value that I can provide. So yeah, there we go. All right, that's it. Pumped to be doing this again. Hopefully next week we'll have a better bet, I don't know, maybe we'll have a better background. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just be this for a minute. But ultimately it is, the goal is to build out a better studio and all of this, but I don't want to wait. I just want to do this. I really do like doing this. I honestly did not like doing this at the beginning. It was a chore, didn't know what to talk about, thought about what other people thought about me and all of that. And I don't know, you kind of just learn to give up on that, and in a good way. And, just, I don't know. I know people are finding value out of this. And so it's easy to come and do this every week. So, all right. That is it, folks. Jason Wilmot signing off. Be kind to one another, be good to one another, and we will see you next week. Adios, guys.